Hello, I'm Christina with The Turned Leg, and I've been a booth owner for over 10 years. And in that time, I've learned a lot. I also had on this channel, when I first started out, a video about essential tools for booth owners, and it was pretty much the basics. And you can go check out that video here if you want to see some of the items I talk about. The longer I have been a booth owner, the more I've realized there are a lot of things that make life easier. So in this video, I've divided things into categories, from cleaning to tech to tools to hardware to common booth supplies, even talking about apps that I use that help me, and just so much more. And I'm sure there's probably things I've left out too, just because I don't know about them. So hopefully you guys can help me fill in the gaps. But in this video, I'm hoping to help newbie booth owners think about things they might need to make life easier, or even for booth owners that have been doing this a while, there'll probably be one or two things you'll be like, I didn't even know that existed. In fact, I have a private booth owners business group on Facebook. It is a paid membership group. And when I asked my booth owners what things they love and use, they actually came up with things I had never heard of that now I am using, and they're helping me so much. And to make things more easy for you to find all the products that we're talking about here today, I have an Amazon storefront link that I will put down in the description below that you can click on to find all of the items. I also have that divided by categories to help you a little bit too. Christmas is around the corner, so some of these items you might want to ask for the holidays to help make life easier for you. But let's dive in. And the first area I want to start with are things you think of immediately when I say essential booth owner tools. And that's stuff for pricing. In my past video, I kept all of my booth essential tools in like a basket, and it was pink. I've kind of upgraded. I found this really cool vintage box. I got it from an antique dealer friend. And now this is what I keep things in for pretty much just pricing. And pricing is extremely important. So let's talk about some of my favorite things that I use for pricing. One of the things that I, of course, need are price tags. And over the years, I've tried all of them, from white hang tags, the traditional ones. I've made them out of book pages with a hole punchy thing, but that takes a little bit of time that now I really don't always have. So now I am buying these price tags on Amazon. You can buy them in different shapes. I really like this one, and then I am stamping them. I bought a stamper with my logo from Vistaprint. You can get these all custom, and so I stamp each one of my tags. And these hang tags, when you order them, actually come with this to tie, which is great. I also sometimes use this kind of twine, just if the items are a little bit bigger, to put it around. But these are one of my favorite price tag items, and it's really important in your booth for your price tags to stand out. Another thing I do to make my price tags stand out is I also use sticky tags, because you can't always tie on your price tags. So I use Avery labels, and then I print them out. The Avery website, you can design your own. So I have my logo, I have my booth number on these. These are, yeah, a little bit more expensive, but for certain items, they work really well, and it makes it really easy for me. I'm not writing my booth number on everything. In fact, with the Avery tags, you can print a whole bunch of them off and have them all set. So if I have a whole bunch of salvage hardware, I can just type in Avery salvage hardware and the price, and then if the hardware is in bags, slap the price tags on, and it's just a time saver and totally worth it. Another one of my favorite tools for pricing is a pricing gun. Pricing guns work great on fabric. I sell t-shirts, I sell vintage Afghans, tablecloths, curtains, pillows, and this pricing gun works really good. I can also use it with these hang tags, and then just, it's so simple. So I highly recommend, if you've never used a pricing gun, to get one of these. Check it out. They're very easy to use, and they make things look so much more professional. Now, if you have all of these items and you want to stay organized, or if you need something to transport back and forth, one of my favorite organizers is this one. It's one that you can, I think, even get at dollar stores, or you can get, upgrade fancier models too. You can use them for pricing if you don't want to use a box or a basket, but you can also use them to keep supplies in, like your supplies for your booth to hang up items. And that brings me to my next point. And that way, they're all organized and separated. When you're putting things back, it's pretty easy to stay organized. I think as a booth owner, we have so many things on our plate. Keeping all of the tools of the trade organized is absolutely essential just to saving you time. You need that certain hook for that certain piece, and this way you can find it using an organizer. So if you don't have one of these, or like an old tackle box, grab yourself one. They're really, really helpful. Going along with what I put in the organizer, I have to have in my booth a whole bunch of extra hardware. I have screws for hanging things up. My favorite screws to use in my booth are drywall screws, and that's because you don't have to usually pre-drill. They will go right in on their own, and it just makes things so much easier. I also keep an assortment of washers and different types of screws. I also have extra like bolts for hardware because you just never know what you're going to need. Having them all at your booth or in your bag that you're taking with you back and forth is so great because it's going to save you time and you're going to have everything you need. Another essential tool that I pretty much take with me to my booth all the time, it is my drill. I really like the Ryobi tools. I'm not sponsored. A friend of mine recommended them, and a lot of the tools, well, one, they're a little less expensive than the DeWalt tools. They also tend to be a little bit lighter, and I find them easier to use overall. So I have been pretty much transformed to a Ryobi girl. I have a full set of tools that we'll talk about in a little bit, but this is one that's essential for booth owners for all the things: building displays, hanging things, putting things together, putting table legs back on, whatever, all of the things. So essential. But one of the things that has helped me so much is having this little magnetic drive guide. So it's this little part that goes into your drill that holds the different bits, and it is magnetized. So I am notorious for dropping stuff. Like on a ladder, I have a screw I'm trying to put in and it's always dropping. This is gonna help me, especially if you are doing the whole booth thing on your own and you don't have help. What is so cool about this is if you have a screw that you're trying to screw in, you can put it right on and the magnet is gonna hold it in place. So it's like having a second pair of hands, and you're not going to drop as many of your screws. If you have the dropsies like I do, this magnetic drill guide is really going to help you. Another thing that is an essential for me in building structures or putting things together, even shelves in my booth, are L brackets. And I really like these pipe clamp things. I kind of discovered them by accident, but they actually can bend more than L brackets, and they can be used in so many different applications. Of course, I'm also using things to hang items. If the item is really heavy, I will use French cleats in my booth. They work really well. I have salvaged windows that I have covered with transfers, kind of like this. French cleats work really well to hold the heavy items, and you don't have to worry about things falling. Of course, you're also going to need pegboard hooks of like every possible size and shape. Obviously, you have to find out what works for you, but if you have pegboard in your booth, which the more I use different things over the years, the more I appreciate the value of pegboard. And sometimes it works for everything. You've always got a place to hang something. I've also recently gotten some grid walls for my Iron Orchid Designs display. I actually found the grid walls free on the side of the road, so then I invested in the hooks. I love grid walls. They are kind of pricey, but they're another good alternative too. And those hooks can really hold a lot of weight, which is good to know too. One of my favorite hooks of all times is an S hook. And originally I found some through an estate sale, but they're harder and harder to find. And so now I have found a great resource on Amazon to get new S-hooks. I have tons of these. You do need to sometimes bend the end with pliers to get it so it'll fit into pegboard, but these work so well. Obviously, you're also going to need things like bags. I love my bag wall. I love putting things in small bags to sell. Having bags and maybe some like scrapbook paper to kind of make them fancy on the ends also helps too. I also use different things like binder clips to hang them up. You can use whatever is going to work for you. Finally, one of the things I really like to have in my booth or in my booth bag is a razor blade. And it can be used to like clean up glass. If you've repainted a piece and you have some paint where you shouldn't, that works well. It also helps to get gooey price tags off, so razor blades are another essential. Now let's talk about what are some of the basic supplies for moving your items. You don't want to blow out your back, your arm, or anything else in this business. So you want to make things as easy as possible. I find having a good pair of work gloves helps very much with lifting. It also helps with preventing splinters. Metal splinters are the absolute worst. I also have a hand truck. I call this a dolly too, and it also will transform into a cart, so that can come in handy whenever I need it. Another essential item for moving furniture are furniture dollies that go on the actual piece, so they're for the legs of furniture. I love these. Obviously, I paint my furniture on these. You can move them around, but you can also slide them at your booth underneath the pieces and things roll really well. You are going to see in my Amazon affiliate link, I have this kind, which I highly recommend if you buy them. You buy like the biggest set that money can afford for weight, because you're going to use them. If you buy them too small, then you'll be like, oh, I should have got the bigger set. Over time, you will need them for really heavy pieces, and if they're not sturdy enough, they will bend. So get the really strong ones. I also have some that are pads that work well on different legs. Sometimes the leg of the furniture or the piece doesn't work well with these. They're kind of hard to position. So you can get yourself the ones that go on the legs that are full pads. Those work fabulous too. Along the same lines are sliders. Oh my goodness. They're just fabulous. They won't ruin the floor of your booth. They make everything so much easier to move too. Get yourself, you don't even have to get the magic sliders. You can get the inexpensive kind. Keep those in your booth. I know people at the mall are always like, Christina, can we borrow your sliders? So get a set for your home, get a set for your booth. They will save you a lot of time and energy too. I also have one of those furniture dollies that you see movers use. They are wood. They usually have like carpet on the ends. I have the large ones and the small ones. Those are really helpful to have too. I keep a whole bunch in my garage. When I bring in pieces, that way I keep them on those dollies so that if I need to get through my garage or to another piece, it's so much easier. And those are really inexpensive. You can also paint, restore, work on furniture on those. The shelving has been my new obsession. And putting in those pipe clamps to hold it all in place. Good lighting can make such a huge difference and can help you get sales. If you have a choice between a booth with electricity and a booth without, always choose the electricity when possible. I also really believe if you're having overhead lighting for your booth, add in some more lights. I have these hanging lights. I will show you a picture here. You can get really long cords. Electricity, of course, sometimes is an issue in your booth, and do check with the mall about the fire code rules. What are you allowed? Sometimes you can't have extension cords, but one thing I really like is getting the really long extension cords on a really long cords, things that you'd put in a garage or a shop, because then you have a ton of outlets that you can plug things to throughout your booth. The hanging lamps work great, but if we're talking light bulbs, I usually get 100-watt daylight bulbs. The daylight just makes a difference, and a lot of booth owners don't use daylight, so it makes your booth also kind of stand out a little bit more, look a little brighter, and a little bit more inviting. Of course, you're going to also need regular light bulbs for all of those pretty vintage lamps that you have, because usually the bulbs are burned out or they will burn out in your booth. So make sure you have backups, the chandelier kind, the regular kind, so you are set. Another type of lighting that I've discovered recently, and this might surprise you, is track lighting, and you can get it at your hardware store pretty inexpensive. I really like the option to be able to put in as many track lights on the track that I want within what's allowed, and also be able to position them on specific spots. So track lighting has been another new addition I've put into my booth. Up next, we're going to talk tools. Of course, you know I already love my Ryobi tools, and we're going to talk about the more tools I have. But before we talk about tools, I need to tell you, it is really a good idea to have like extra hardware. If you are at a garage sale or an estate sale and you go into one of those garages that has all the little things in jars, you might want to pick yourself up some spare stuff, because having the extra part that you need is really essential in this business. And sometimes they just don't make things like that anymore. There are certain screws for chairs that only I have found on other vintage chairs. So even if I can't use a piece anymore or I have to take it apart for salvage, I will save the extra hardware just so I have backup. Newer things, I'll find something that might work, but it just won't look as cool as what would originally have been in there. But it's also a good idea to have like a stockpile of, extra washers, screws, bolts, all of the things. So when you need it, you have it. So keep in mind, having those extra things, always a good idea. And another thing that I really love, because I know we have tools, but sometimes our tools are all over the place, right? Like I have workshops in my basement, in my garage, at my booth, and I would just have like rogue hammers and screwdrivers all over the place. So I cannot stress enough having some sort of a toolkit. This is a toolkit from IKEA. I think it's called a Fixa. And I've had it in orange. This is the newer blue kind. Having a toolkit like this, or even the toolkit that I have listed on my Amazon link that's in the description. I bought a bigger toolkit for my car, because sometimes when I'm at an estate or I'm at a garage sale, I need to take the piece apart before I put it into my car, and I need all of the things. So I even bought a slightly bigger toolkit for my car, and I love this toolkit. Sure, it's not like name brand tools. So, if you want to pay and get all the name brand, but I highly recommend putting it all in like one kit. The bigger kit I have, what's nice is it does have a few pieces of hardware in case you need. There's some screws and some bolts and some washers in there too. So that's an extra bonus. But I have a toolkit for my home. I have a toolkit in my car at all times. I have also one in my booth at all times. And it's just wonderful because you know where everything goes. You have pretty much the basics that you need, and you're not wasting time trying to find that one thing. Another thing I love are shop cloths. I use them obviously for refinishing. They are so handy to have some good quality shop cloths. I also have been recently, since I've been obsessed with shelves, we've already talked about that, and hanging things. I love my laser level that I have purchased. Before I got a laser level to set things up in my booth, it was a lot of measuring, and then things didn't always end up straight. Now you can put things absolutely at the same height. You can find out like which hole on the pegboard they all need to be hung up on. It is so much easier. So a laser level is another good idea of something you might want to have to bring to your booth when you need to have things just right. Of course, a measuring tape is something that is essential. You don't want to have to, figure out, is it going to fit in my car by trying, or in your booth by, hey, let's move things around. I think this is going to work. Measuring ahead of time is going to save you so much time, and you will know if it'll work before you move things. Let's get into the big tools that I love. Of course, I have an orbital sander. Mine is still a DeWalt orbital sander. I love it. I did start off with a cheaper Harbor Freight version. If you don't have an orbital sander and you are refinishing or painting or doing all of the things, it is life-changing when you get one. I had originally like a detail sander. I got at a garage sale. My orbital is just fabulous. I use it for so many things. I also have my drill. I have a jigsaw. I have so many other little tools that I use, perhaps not as essential as some of the ones I'm mentioning here, but I did buy a full Ryobi like toolkit set so that I would be set on everything I needed. One of my favorite tools is my miter saw, and I wish it was one that was a chop saw that slid back and forth. I'm not quite there yet, but I hope to get one soon. But I use it for so many more things than I even thought I would. I use it for building items in my booth. I use it for making signs, working with salvage, and I just absolutely love it. It is a big tool. It does look a little scary, but I'm telling you, it is so easy to use. And once you've, paid attention to all of the safety rules, it's something that I think is absolutely essential. And if you can get the one that slides back and forth, so it's not just coming down, you can actually cut larger boards, and it's even more helpful. Like I said, I hope to upgrade to one of those soon. The one I want is in my Amazon link, so you can check out what I would recommend. That way you don't have to buy two of them. But if you already have one around the house, which is what I did, start using it for your booth. It's going to be so helpful. It's kind of this thing where most females don't necessarily know how to use tools. I know I'm going to get tons of hate for that comment. The way I was raised, my mom was fabulous and she did know how to use some basic tools. My dad was a college professor. I didn't get all of the information about all of the cool tools because we weren't just like building stuff around the house. So I didn't learn all of this stuff until later. I highly recommend, if you want to learn more, find someone. I have to give a big thanks to Little Bits Vintage. She is absolutely amazing. She is the queen of power tools. And when I started building stuff for my booth, I was texting her constantly like, hey, I want to do this. What do I need? And she told me, especially when I built my barn wood wall, that I needed one of these. And I was like, really? And I have to tell you, this is my Ryobi finish nailer, and it is one of my favorite tools. I've used this to build a barn wood wall in my house. There's a video here if you want to see more about it. I've also added like beadboard to my booth for displays. This is so fabulous. It also can help you build things. I've built display racks with it. So many possibilities. And it is big and it's a little intimidating. But once you figure this out, this is so easy to use. I highly recommend, if you're someone who's a booth owner who's like, I don't really know about tools, you need to take it little by little, find out more, and get yourself tools. It's going to save you so much time. I would start with orbital sander, with a drill, with a chop saw, and if, one of these. I am not kidding. They're absolutely fabulous. I also love my jigsaw, and I have quite a few other tools that aren't used as frequently, but the more I learn about them, the more they can save me time and help me do so much more quality work on my booth. Some other basic tools that I use all the time are wood clamps, but I use the quick grip ones. That way you don't have to like screw the clamp into place. That saves so much time and energy. And with clamps, I recommend buying the biggest ones you can afford. That way you can clamp larger pieces like tables and legs and all the things. You also will need some smaller clamps for some smaller projects, but the quick grip ones are just fabulous. I also, of course, have a level, a stud finder, and sometimes you get pieces that just need a little bit of help. My favorite wood glue is Titebond glue. You can get the quick drying, which is the original formula. You can get Titebond 2, which has a little bit more open time. It is completely up to you. I also use wood filler quite a lot. I use like drywall compound spackle to fill in small holes. If my pieces have really large damage or holes, I also use Bondo and I love it. There are videos here on the channel with more information. One of my new favorite tools I found out about in my booth owners business group when I put the word out about what were your favorite things. And one of my members mentioned that they love their point driving framing tool. Now this is for picture frames, which is cool because I just got a huge load of old vintage picture frames curbside, and I didn't even know this thing existed. To put old picture frames together, I had been like hammering things in with pliers and it was just a mess. So I am so looking forward to using this full time. If you've never heard about it before, you might want to check it out. It's called a point driver framing tool. Up next, we're going to talk cleaning. And I once heard that in our business, one dealer said that every time they get old stuff or they get an estate, they would have the Michael Jackson Thriller song playing in their head with the part talking about the filth of 100,000 years or whatever the quote is. And really, we have to become good cleaners in this business. I love to clean, but I'm telling you, hands down, have you tried Dawn Power Wash? It is not just for dishes. You can spray it on furniture. It will get nicotine. It will get bad stains off. You can spray and wipe. You can also use like a bucket with water and a sponge or a scrub brush, maybe put a little white vinegar in, and you can clean things like you've never cleaned them before. I absolutely love Dawn Power Wash. It is perhaps my #1 cleaning product. I'll use this first, and then if I need to upgrade or try something else, but most of the time, this works great. And like I said, it even gets nicotine off of furniture. Of course, we're talking cleaning. You probably need a vacuum with hand tools so that you can get into all the cracks and crevices, or even in pieces like this, all of the drawers, vacuum it out really well because there's dust and things everywhere. I also have a little green clean machine to help me clean upholstery pieces before I put them in the booth. And of course, you're going to need the carpet cleaning stuff that goes into it too to purchase so that you can get all of your things clean. I always get the one that is for pets just because I think it cleans a little bit better. Another essential item for cleaning is a magic eraser. So many of you have asked me in my videos when I'm doing thrift hauls, like, how do you get that like black marker price tag off of your pieces? I use magic eraser. I'm telling you the things a magic eraser can do. Another thing I keep in my car, in my garage, and in my booth is a little dustpan and a brush because of spills, accidents, they're quick cleanups. They're also great in my car because when I flip those pieces over, I don't want to take all those cobwebs with me. They can stay. They don't need to go in my car. So having that with you really does come in handy. Going along with cleanup, Lysol wipes or something similar. I mean, it can do so many things. I even use them for wet distressing my furniture. I also use a hair dryer. Yes, a hair dryer to get stickers, to get price tags, to get old shelf paper that won't come off of my furniture. I've also recently learned about Crud Cutter for price tags, thanks to my friend Jen Doon in Menominee Falls with Rustic Rehabs. I really don't purchase a lot from Goodwill near me, so I hadn't experienced the Goodwill price tags like that very much. And Crud Cutter, so much easier. I have used also Gooby Gone in the past for hard things, but I think I kind of like Crud Cutter a little bit more. Weigh in, let me know your favorite down below. My favorite glass cleaner, hands down, is the foaming kind, and mine is Spray Way glass cleaner. You can spray it on, it's not going to drip all over, it's a lot easier to control, and it cleans really well. One cleaner that maybe you hadn't heard of, I hadn't either, is called Tough Stuff. Now, it kind of does have an odor and smells, and I only use it outdoors, but it is fabulous on old luggage, not leather. But the old luggage that you get that's color and it's like plastic, usually it's really grimy. Spray Tough Stuff, it foams, leave it, come back with a scrub brush, wash it off, and then once it's done, I like to put the Armor All spray on my luggage that's actually used for tires. It really makes it shine. So get it cleaned with the Tough Stuff, let it dry, and then spray it with the Tire Armor All stuff, and your luggage is going to be gleaming and looking like new. And of course, cleaning products would not be complete without mentioning I love microfiber cloths. In fact, in most of my booth reset videos, you will see I probably have a cleaning cloth hanging out of my back pocket. I keep it with me at all times. There's always something that needs a good dusting. Next, we're going to talk about organization, and I don't have really a section for this on my Amazon storefront, but I do have a video where I show you how I organize a lot of my off-season items in my home, and you can check that out here. Some of the things I really like are sturdy, heavy-duty shelving, Rubbermaid tubs. Get them all the same with the same lids. Otherwise, you're going to have a problem with like all these lids. You don't know which fits on which tubs. I know. I've been there too. So I have thrown out all of those and gotten all one type of tub. So any lid will fit and I don't have that problem anymore. I also have baggies, Ziplocs for all the things, whether it's hardware on a piece I'm refinishing so I don't lose it. And with those baggies, I also label them with a Sharpie marker. Another piece of organization for your files and receipts is I love an accordion file for every month of the year. At the end of the month, I just throw all my receipts in them and then I can deal with them on tax time. Now we're going to talk about shipping. And I know not everyone here has an online store or ships, but so many more people are finding sites like Etsy, eBay, even using things like Whatnot, or having online auctions. And hands down, I love selling with my online store and I love using Shopify. And I do have an affiliate link down in the description box below. Shopify is running a little special right now if you want to start your own online store. It is really easy. They are offering, if you use my link, 3 days free and then $1 a month for the first 3 months. And you can cancel at any time. It is such a great site. I cannot say enough good things about Shopify. There's also a lot of free templates, so you can just kind of plug and play and get all set up. If you decide to set up a website or do some sort of online store, then we're going to have to talk shipping, and you're going to need a shipping scale. It's going to save you so much time to have everything figured out ahead of time, and some places like Whatnot require you to have all the weights ahead of time so you know how heavy the items will be. So get yourself a good shipping scale. Mine is down in my Amazon link below. I also recommend a laser printer for shipping labels. Sure, you can write them all out, but it looks more professional and it's going to save you a lot more time to get a laser printer for those labels. They print out really nice. They're easy to read and scan. Of course, you're going to need mailing supplies like bubble wrap, like those stickers for Fragile. If you're selling paint, maybe the stickers that say "Do not freeze." I also have really cute stickers that thank my customers for shopping from me. You're going to also need things like packing peanuts, bubble wrap, and boxes, of course, mailers. Some of these things you can reuse, or you can ask your family and friends, if you have extras. In this day and age, most people respect that you're kind of a green company that's going to reuse some of the items as long as they're in pretty good shape. You can also get free shipping items from the United States Postal Service if you are shipping with them. So check out that option too. And my absolute favorite thing for shipping, in fact, I don't think I would be shipping and mailing stuff out, is the packaging tape I use, because I hate cheap packaging tape and it gets all stuck together and it's a mess. The packaging tape I use is Duck Easy Start packaging tape, and I also have a packaging tape dispenser. This makes things so much easier for wrapping and shipping things out. I know there's been a lot of items here and I just appreciate you sticking with me. There are just so many tools that have saved me so much time and energy. One of the things in this day and age that you can't live without is good technology. You really need to invest in it to help your business. I have a laptop. I use a MacBook Pro, and I also use an iPhone. And I am just a Mac girl. But what I really like is these two devices can share things back and forth, like pictures I take, pretty seamlessly. Even this video I'm recording on my phone can then just be sent to my MacBook where I can do all of my editing. I also have some favorite tripods that I love to use. I finally got a tripod that can go up high enough. I'm a tall person, and so some of the tripods I had bought in the past, just if I was standing, I couldn't use. So I love this tripod along with my selfie stick. This selfie stick is so reasonable. You can keep it in your purse. I use it all the time. Extra bonus is it also has a tripod on it, so you can use it to create reels. You can use it just to film, to do so many things. I highly recommend getting one or even two of them so you can keep one in your booth, maybe one in your car or in your purse so you have it at all times. Another thing I think is essential is we talked about the importance of lighting. Right now where I am, I actually am using 2 ring lights. I like the newer brand of ring lights. And then on the side, I have 2 smaller dimmable newer lights that I like to use. And it just makes things look a lot better when you are recording. Obviously, you're gonna need charging cords and cables. I'm not gonna get into that. I am gonna say that microphones are also important if you're looking into video. When I am out thrifting or doing booth tours or all of the things, I love my little lapel mics that are Bluetooth mics. I have the DJI 2 mics and I use them with windscreens, or they're otherwise called dead cats, which I just think is hysterical. And then when I come home and I am doing voiceover, I love my Logitech Blue microphone. It is big, sturdy, it's not portable, but the sound quality is really good. So if the little lapel mic has an issue, or something goes wrong, or there's a lot of background noise, I can record with the other microphone and really have some high quality audio. Another thing I like as far as a mount or a tripod is my Acron mount, and it's really good and sturdy to kind of hang over and record what I am doing. I will use it for lives, for reels. What's nice about this is the sturdy base. It won't tip over as easy as like the selfie stick with the tripod does. So it's just another option when I really need something to be sturdy. Now let's talk about the apps and the software that I'm using. Obviously, I use apps for all of the social media that I am on. Instagram, Facebook, even using Pinterest, all of the things. Some of the things that help me with social media are having the app called Meta Business Suite for Facebook and Instagram. It really helps me have all of my areas to respond to my customers all in one spot. So I don't have to go back and forth between Instagram and Facebook and get just all confused. It's a really good app to have if you haven't checked it out before. And I am loving the new Edits app for Instagram and Facebook to help create reels. Extra bonus, if you're using this app, your reels are going to get pushed out even more because that's what Instagram is doing right now, and Facebook. If you're using their stuff, they are rewarding you. It is super easy to use, and in the past, I was paying for an app to do all the same things and actually a few less than what Edits can do. So if you make little videos for your social media, please check out Edits. And it doesn't have to only be used for Instagram and Facebook. You can actually create something in Edits, save it to your phone, and then put it up on other platforms too. I also am loving Canva. Who doesn't? It is great for helping with all the things from making YouTube thumbnails to making things to promote sales and so much more. So if you haven't checked out Canva, check it out. Some of my other favorite apps, I love to use Snapseed for editing. It just makes things super simple, and having a good picture makes a huge difference nowadays on social media. I also love using WordSwag to add text to my pictures. And of course, I do also enjoy using ChatGPT when sometimes I just can't find the right word for something. You can only say so often that this thing is great. You know, you can ask ChatGPT to help with words, to check spelling and typos, and you can still have your unique voice. Don't worry, like the computer is not going to take over and tell you what to write. You can edit, change it how you want it, but sometimes it just kind of helps to make things sound just a little bit more professional. A few software programs that I use also use Wave, and I have used that to kind of help me with my accounting and my business end. I love it. It is free. By the way, I am not sponsored by any of these things that I'm talking about here today. These are just my honest evaluations. You can also check out all of these things I mentioned. There is a whole video on social media, and I believe I mention in more detail all of these things and how I use them. Whew, well, that was a lot, but I hope this has given you some really good ideas. Maybe you've learned about things you've never heard about before. I will tell you everything on that list on Amazon that's in the description I have used and loved. And I am not sponsored by any of those companies. I think as a booth owner, the best way to find the best things for you to use is to get recommendations from others. So I hope this has helped you. And if you are a booth owner and there's something I didn't mention, I'm sure I forgot something. Well, we couldn't make this too long. Please comment down below. Tell me your favorite things. If I mentioned something you really like to, let me know. I appreciate you guys so very much for being here and helping one another. Now get out there to salvage, repurpose, and create.